Hello, my country people them. Today, na the 10th of September 2022. And I'm sorry say I don't come a few minutes later than planned. Now because I will be involved in another meeting. So I just come off a day and then I can't straight for can't do this live broadcast. I also now join when I know the usual routine, when I match fire for share and make it go far and wide. Thank you plenty my country people them. Today, I want to talk about dialogue. Yes. I want to talk about why when I go hear all Anglophones them from all over the place, they talk about dialogue. It goes way back. Make una understand that. As una join, una match fire for share them, make it go far and wide. Yes, countryman, it don't come live. Una share them. It will give me opportunity to for share. So we'll spend the next or the first few minutes for the live broadcast for build the audience more for share. We don't really reach 30 something. They will keep climbing. Yes, because countryman they here live for Tori with my country people then. So today na number 10 day for September 2022. As I don't already talk, countryman is there live for Tori with my country people them about dialogue. And as we did talk, I will show you I get for this presentation I get a lot of things, and for sure I get videos, audios and whatnot where we go play them for una. I'm go Tori, and I believe say when I go find them as interesting as I do. Yes, so that is it. We play our Kumkum anthem, and then we will play our Cameroon national anthem. When I listen.
Hail, hail, hail the Kumkumasa, we the Cameroonians, we pledge our loyalty. Kumkumasa, Kumkumasa, you shall free our country from terror, and your blessing shall be like the stars above. The Most High God shall be your guide.
Now when I listen to this part about dialogue, it will make sense. Now
there is a remnant ADF camp in Tanka, and they should know our restoration forces will come after them. The Alabo camp has been reconstituted into an ADF camp, and there are a few of them there terrorizing every Amazonian from Meta through Mancon and beyond, kidnapping them and taking ransom. We have a job to do, Chris. We have to go after these guys and decimate them.
Yes, you are very right.
It is uncalled for, because when they do it, it falls on the interim government, and
correct.
That is what we cannot accept. Look, that cross and die man is coordinating all the kidnapping in Mancon and Quen.
We don't talk this thing. Say AGOFC ADF, now a terror organization led by Lucas Cho Ayaba for Norway, with Benedict Kwa for US, with Ngong Emmanuel for China, and a number of them where we don't do flyers before put out their face. We go now go on a deliberate international campaign for all diplomatic services around the world, designating the AGOFC ADF, led by Cho Ayaba in Norway, as a terrorist organization.
So when I don't hear that one, not themselves they talk, no be me. Through John so it talks today, so they go decimate them. So some person they try for call, but una ignore. So they go decimate them. Yes. It no talk say make the dialogue. It say decimate them. Okay, we will play our national anthem and then we'll go match fire for the presentation. My country people wanna listen. Thank una plenty my country people them. As una join, una know the usual routine. Una mash fire for share, make it go far and wide. Today, na the 10th day for September 2022. Countryman, it don't come for can deliver una a presentation where we title and say Understanding Why the Anglophones Are Begging for Dialogue Today. So, it goes way back. But before I come to that, I want to show una some breaking news with Commander Kumbo. Okay? So the gallant forces, they go meet up these amber terrorists, the way they talk today, so they get so-called lockdown. They want lock their own people them inside house, made them not come out outside, say for 2 weeks or whatever, just in a desperate attempt for frustrate school resumption. Because they've been a terrorist organization where they no like picking them for get education. So they try to stop schools. So the military, kumkum distributors, they enter for day, they distribute free kumkum. The latest count where I get the information on the ground and say, they don't wipe 7 of them, and a bunch of them, they be injured, they carry kumkum inside them, they run enter bush. Now small that die body picture that, I no one show them for now because obviously, now graphic images them, and it no belong on Facebook. Right, so when I feel say now the information that way, it follow those pictures and that, okay? So now the presentation that will bring up for una. Also, I go, if I get opportunity, I go talk about this particular thing where they bug me with this, our Anglophone brothers and sisters, the way they always talk about their so-called Anglo-Saxon heritage. But then they come for Facebook for can't insult me. And then instead of calling me a fool, they call me fool as an F-U-L-L. So if you even want to can't insult some person, say no get sense, at least try to learn how to spell the right word where you want to use them. Okay, so I will play for now that video when I audio where Eric Tato it record them yesterday. I will play for now for understand what will go on in Amber World. We go also I'll also open that document for now, read them if I get opportunity. We'll play these videos for now Molali Tumbe and whatnot. Okay, and then we will talk a little bit more about the history and whatnot. But before we even go, I want for now, I want make una take a few minutes una look at this document. I know say many of una don't forget a lot of the victories the way we don't achieve them. Okay, so this one when I see this document, it be signed September the 8th 2020. Today na September the 10th. Okay, we mean say na exactly 2 years ago. Now document where it come out from the US Senate. Also, I'm in the Senate of the United States. Okay, September the 8th, 2020. You now remember Senate Resolution 684. May I read a short excerpt from that Senate resolution. They say, calling on the government of Cameroon and the separatist armed groups from the English-speaking Northwest and Southwest regions to end all violence, respect human rights of Cameroonians, and pursue a genuine inclusive dialogue towards resolving the ongoing civil conflict in Anglophone Cameroon. Now, which is that the right time? At that time, for 2020, exactly 2 years ago, these amber fools, they become for social media. They can't make the usual noise. And one of the things, the way they always succeed for convince gullible Anglophone brothers and sisters, the way they don't understand how the world it work. Now, because some of them they call themselves very big titles, like they say senior barrister Ashu. You know, can't talk about how America has entered. America is in. America, an international system has entered this thing. The international system will force Paul Biya to come to the negotiating table. Talk some kind of rubbish. Say federation is under the table. It should be brought onto the table. You know, some kind of things the way they talk like people the way they know get a grip on reality. And one of the reasons why it be easy for manipulate people then now because they carry these titles where the worker call themselves senior barrister. So you believe say so you get authentic information from person where it be educated. But and as I go show you the next document, I go show you how easy it be for manipulate somebody just by omission or just by a play with words. Okay. So now United States document this from the Senate of the United States where they bring them out 2 years ago. At that time, this, when I see a list of U.S. senators and that way they sign up to this resolution. At that time, we, the black legs, the country people, we did for social media. They try to educate white people, them explain for them how nonsensical this piece of paper be? It's actually trash. It's useless for put and for bin. It's nonsense. Because first of all, now because why people they be easily manipulated because they be generally ignorant of how the world works. They just, and because African man first of all get this inferiority complex, because you automatically feel inferior. Because when they talk say na American Congress, you automatically believe say na big deal because na white man talk am. Okay? And then when I don't understand when I say this, so Cameroon get ye own Congress. Cameroon na a sovereign state. The whole United States of America, where they get 350 something million people, they get now one seat at the United Nations. Cameroon, with about 28 million people, also get one seat at the United Nations. Okay? Yes, the US is being a member of the Security Council, the permanent members. And Cameroon no be permanent member. Or understand? Now the distinction that. But will be Cameroon a sovereign state, where it means it make its own passports, it get its own Congress, it get its own judiciary, parliament, judiciary system, and legislative and executive. Which means it make its own laws of the land. Cameroon president does not succumb to the laws in the United States. No Cameroonian citizen obeys American laws because they do not govern Cameroon. American laws made in the Congress in the United States, they govern or they supersede or they are the laws of the land for the United States of America, and all subjects of the United States subject to that law of the land in the U.S. And whether you be foreigner or not, once you enter U.S. territory and then you come under their jurisdiction and you fall under their rules and their laws. Just like how when American citizen enter inside Cameroon, it must be under the Cameroonian law, will be made by the Cameroonian parliament and signed by the Cameroonian head of state. So it is rather very insulting for, say, a Congress or Senate in a different country. It go make, and the funniest thing I said, this one be even law. It is a resolution. It just write some nonsense on a piece of paper. And then the funniest thing I say, as Cameroonians, as una be, una no know, una have to read. Read the very first word for that resolution. It talks about it. Calling on. Calling. It is not an order. It is not an ultimatum. It is a gentle request. It is a friendly request. Make una understand how the world works, my country people them. The biggest problem where we get them for Cameroon, na ignorance. That is the biggest problem where we get them. Read the document. Even them sisters they write them today. They say calling on the government of Cameroon and separatist armed groups. They are calling because they no get no authority for order Cameroon for do anything. They don't get no authority for order any Cameroon citizen whatsoever to do anything except if that Cameroonian citizen a day in United States territory or their sovereign land, and then yes, the laws made in the Congress of the United States, they could be you could be subject yourself to those laws. They could govern you because they in their territory. But Cameroonian where they born for Batibo or for Nkwen for Bamenda or for Ngoketunja or for Boyo, how American law take concern you? And now one of the things that this way Cameroonians they woke up sometimes they can't begin quote American law. For example, some person can't begin talk about your freedom of speech, this and that. You ask, you say, what's I read that one? He say for Facebook. I ask, you say, you read na Cameroon law where they say this one na Cameroon law, or you read na American law. American law. When I think say na America they rule the world. So and then this resolution, so now the second resolution about Cameroon, the first one is resolution 292. Where be happen now for July 2019. They be talk the same noise. Whoa, go up, come down, go up, come down. And then now by September 2020, they come again with this next resolution. They say America don't enter inside the America. Okay, now it's been 3 years since 2019. American Congress started write resolution to today 2022. It don't pass 3 years now. So when I be talk today, so international community go grab Pobia, drag it by force, make come dialogue. Where them they? This piece of paper never be go inside bin. Absolute trash. Okay, so make you no overdwell on that, my contribution. So now, make when I understand, say, earlier today for my countryman junior, ye Facebook page, I will go live because I will there in a Zoom meeting where it will be organized by the Cameroon government, because now actually it be organized on the authority of the head of government, the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Dion Gute, where it be one hold a session for discuss with the diaspora, with the Anglophone Cameroonian diaspora. And a lot don't happen in the background. That's just one of dozens of other initiatives the way the Cameroon government it don't initiate them for talk to ordinary Cameroonians and Anglophone Cameroonians, to be precise, for one, exchange information, listen to them, and also tell them which way they don't do, which way they do, which way they plan for do, especially when it comes to resolving this Anglophone crisis, and also for people then for air out their grievances, for talk, for say, okay, these are my opinions, these are my views, this is what I believe we can do, because all we have a part to play. And now, if I be listening to Prime Minister outing on Equinox TV Pidgin News for, I think it was July or now August 2022, Prime Minister be tell una today, say, this thing now all we get responsibility for help for stop him. No mean that one person the job, no mean that Prime Minister own or government or military. Okay? Now all we get responsibility. And that the spirit of that dialogue, that way me I embrace him. Dialogue where it could be inclusive, where it involve all people the way they've been as stakeholders. And by stakeholders, it mean literally every single Anglophone Cameroonian. It being a stakeholder, because whatever they discuss, whatever policies are put in place, and whatever decisions are made, they will directly affect your life. So you are a stakeholder. Okay? So make sure say your voice it be heard. No, she don't like mumu, make other people they go decide on your behalf. Like how Amber terrorists they believe in their wildest imagination, say this so, they talk now on behalf of all Anglophone Cameroonians then. Now, their biggest mistake that way they make them, the biggest. Because sooner or later, they say and say this, so no, they get a very big population of Anglophone Cameroonians then will love Cameroon as one and indivisible. Not to mention the fact that the time when I carry those guns then, when I now come up with this nonsense, so when I go force every other person for do what when I want me to do them against their will. So when I go use gun for terrorizing our own communities and all of that, it doesn't work that way. So for this audio, for this video where I go plan for una now, when I go hear Chris Anu, this video where Chris Anu make on the 20th of October 2020, okay, which is almost 2 years ago. Chris Anu explained to una in 1 minute about a plan for a dialogue where it will be in the planning for, it will start for 2019, and the intention will be now for hold a sort of like an Anglophone General Conference in Ghana, Accra, for November 2020. Now, November 2020 don't come past, a no hold. November 2021 don't come past, a no hold. Very soon we will be for November 2022. And one of the biggest, make a play Chris Anu video, and then I'm going to explain for you about one of the biggest reasons why that dialogue, that discussion, it no be hold, and I don't think say it be possible say it go hold. When I listen.
Oh, that is being, I mean, a number of things are going on, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, we have a group, so-called Pan-African something something and a Dove something something based in Ghana and one based in La Republique, putting together a conference, a peace conference, they hope, with which to come to a settlement for this conflict. This conference is taking place in Ghana, and we have another one being organized by the Coalition for Dialogue, they call themselves, coming up also, I learned, at the end of the month. The Coalition for Dialogue sent out a survey, a poll, in which they are polling Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, plus Francophones, La Republique citizens.
So when I don't hear this one, now Christopher Anu for October 2020, it did talk about, when they talk about now something where even Professor Peter and Donwe be messaged me personally, a discuss about the initiative for get Anglophones together for dialogue, because one of the biggest stumbling block for Anglophones now are disunity. And this disunity, it starts since in the days of Foncha, Muna, Indele. Since it goes way back, where Anglophones do not get them that ability for work together. Okay, so time where Professor Ondon will be approach me, he message me, we'll discuss. He say the plan for bring together Anglophones, all people, them, all stakeholders, them for get a discussion where because after the Grand National Dialogue, this Amber terrorists, they be talk say no, they want a dialogue they outside of Cameroon so that they go attend and I mean I come up for Cameroon just for this August 2022 way past, so I'll be there for Cameroon. And I get the opportunity for talk to a few people. I talk to people that not just people that I agree with, but people I disagree with. And I talk to particular Anglophone youth where they be obviously very ignorant about their country and the world at large. And one of them, it make statements to the effect that why Paul Biya stop the Anglophone General Conference with Cardinal Toomey, it be the planner. I ask you, say, why Paul Biya no be stop the first Anglophone General Conference? Why no be stop the second Anglophone General Conference? Why not only the third Anglophone General Conference where Paul Biya just suddenly decide now say he won't stop him? And by the ways, if Cardinal Toomey and all your friends them they sit down together, they raise their money, they talk say okay, on this date at this time we go hold one jangi meeting inside this hall. We don't invite this so and so person, me they come for day. Paul Biya can't stop una. Especially when doing a public demonstration. Because public demonstration, you need the express permission of the divisional officer for organize any public demonstration, even a football match. Because whenever you gather people in crowds, anything can happen. You can have rioting, you can have people lose their lives and stuff like that. So you need to you need to notify the authorities. So no, this one you just gather your Jangi house for una house. Like how una be do the first Anglophone General Conference. For 1990, I think it was 1994, something like that, when I do the second Anglophone General Conference. For that second Anglophone General Conference, now for them Anglophones, they come up with this nonsense where they call them, say, SCNC, Southern Cameroon's National Congress. We're now a banned terrorist group in Cameroon today. Now, why that way, all the members of NCNC, they will be forced to flee out of Cameroon for fear, because they will look for all of them for arrest them. And the number one and only goal of SCNC that was created in the early 90s was secessionism. That was the only goal. And then knowing that, why would I then think today so the president of the republic go gladly endorse and then facilitate, then maybe finance una for go hold another Anglophone General Conference for them 45, for them come together and then strategize how for them cause another upheaval inside the country when they craze. Even Namia will support that kind of nonsense. And by the way, who stop una? Una not get una the ability to organize ourselves. Una don't be fragmented, left, right, center. This person must be president. This person too must be now this person must be. Una the fight over chicken change. How can you? And then when I talk to when I represent a people. By the way, I will come back to that. So I don't want to overstray. So now, for going back for explain to una the extent at which Cameroon government it don't go to for try for dialogue with Anglophone Anglophone youth and Anglophone diaspora to be precise. So now this news article now from 2017. Okay, when I read them, it talk of day say Cameroon's Justice Minister. It was Minister of Justice, Laurent Esso. He's still been a Minister of Justice till today, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and his delegation were humiliated in Belgium. At that time, Mark Barretta be there Belgium. Mark Barretta be post him for Facebook and everywhere else. They're glad how they don't humiliate Laurent Esso. This was just at the beginning, at the inception of this Anglophone madness. Okay, for 2017. The government at that time it would be headed by the Prime Minister we named man for Oku. I don't even forget his name, sir. Philemon Yang. Yes. It will be headed by Prime Minister Philemon Yang. So they will send delegations to South Africa, to the United States. I think the one for United States will be headed by Minister Paul Gogomo. At that time, he not even been a minister, he been a Professor Paul Gogomo. So Professor Paul Gogomo will go United States. They send delegation to South Africa. They send Laurent and so to Europe. Okay, for come meet the Anglophone youth the way they be agitate, where they will propose all this nonsense of Facebook demonstrations here and there. So now they send the Cameroon ministers the way they work in the government, they work for the government, people the way they can listen to the Anglophone youth and then take direct information back to the government of Cameroon for see how they feel appease them or anything. But when the Anglophone youth they arrive today, they don't get them no interest for dialogue with these people then, or for address their grievances or for discourse. Always they be being angry, rude, violent. They be violent. They broke the place, chakara the place. So the people were hospitalized. They be forced for call the Belgian police. The Belgian police came there for separate fights. Now what is that way Anglophone youth they do for diaspora 2017? It be documented. I'm not making these things up. Do your research, Magosiam. All these things, just search them. Okay, so now the reality that, and then now at the build up now for can't explain to you now why we will now say I'm today for 2022 Anglophones that they beg for dialogue, but no man not get their time, and no man not supposed to get their time. So this message right there on our screens, now message that was some person send out for me. It tell me say countryman, because the tower be post and say I come live today, can't talk about why Anglophones that they beg for dialogue today. It tell me say countryman, they are not realistic at all. It's that you only go to dialogue with an enemy that you cannot defeat. The best they can get now are favorable surrender conditions. And that is exactly it. Whenever they be ready for surrender, now which that be happen for Biafra now? The only time when Nigerian government it be sit for talk with the secessionists for Nigeria, the Biafra. Now when Biafra it be wave a white flag, say we are ready to surrender. And then the Nigerian government talks to me, they cease hostilities for a very short while they talk with these people, they arrive terms and conditions of their surrender. So while they cease the hostilities, Ojukwu begged Nigerian government, say, me they give you opportunity for fly out of the country, me they not shoot his helicopter down. It won't go into exile, and as soon as it be safe in exile, it will send now go on, and I could not remember their names. It will come give the official surrender from Biafra. So now Ojukwu fly out of the country for fear for his life. He run. And then now his second in command, it goes surrender to the Nigerian government. And that's what stopped the hostilities in Nigeria. Now the only time that when Nigerian government be dialogue with Ojukwu, a formal dialogue where they recognize them. Now when they were coming to surrender. That is it. So you need to go dialogue with person where you don't get no leverage whatsoever. What leverage? Una explain that for me. What leverage do the Amber terrorists have? What leverage? Because even as we talk, when I give una the example of Biafra be get the support of France, West Germany, Czechoslovakia. It was a country at that time, and I think India and Biafra, because Biafra was Christian, they will get support from Israel, the United States, and a bunch of other countries then. While we, of course, Nigeria being a former British colony, they get support from Britain and a bunch of other countries then. So that is it. Cameroon be being neutral for their wahala. Upon all that international support where Biafra be get them, with a military, a real military power, where they get real soldiers, them real weapons, and everything, and they control territory. At the beginning of the Biafra war, Biafra be control 100% of their territory, 100%. And then when Nigeria now launch war against them, Nigeria launch war now for reclaim the territory. Slowly and surely, Nigeria start reclaim the territory, go reclaim the territory. So they go reclaim the capital where Ojukwu be set them up, say na capital of Biafra. Nigerian military, they overrun that capital, seize them, take them over. So now Biafra get to be pushed out. They run, go create another town. Say that their capital, that set up for them. And then Nigerian government approach, they approach, they gain territory. They gain territory, they come. They come now by the time when they want to capture that second capital, Ojukwu no say don't losses. Now, for they beg for surrender, they run. But 5 years later, I mean, and Biafra war will last only 3 years, so more than 1 million people they die. No, even 3 years, 2.5 years. Where Biafra war lasts 2.5 years. And then now you get this nonsense will happen for Cameroon. They get zero international support. I mean zero. And that point it be very pertinent because I can't talk about that one. When I go can't play for Molan Jolly Tumbe video and everything, they get zero international support. Zero, none. They get no trained military, none. They get no source of proper weapons because France, it be the ship, I mean, be the fly-in weapons into Biafra, fly them in for can't support Biafra, may they defeat Nigeria, France. But they still surrender, they still losses. They surrender. Wait till I talk. And then 5 years later, Amber terrorists, they don't get one. I mean, I didn't even talk about sovereign country. I didn't talk just organization. Any organization where it support them, none. And then within their ranks, the division, you and me, if we confirm code, say they don't be so fragmented, they don't cocotte and so they're in the process of forming IG number 77. And then now they get the one where they run, come off that their side, can't join with Black Legs. And then in the midst of all that, then the sister they can't confess and say they don't raise money. And then after knowing that, then you want to go dialogue with them. Why? To achieve what? They have zero leverage. First of all, this one, a sperm chop, non-chop, it be posted. This video, okay? This was at the time when they break up from Sako IG for go form IG number 3, where it become Chris Anu and Marianta IG. As we speak, Chris Anu and Marianta, they're going a separate way. So Chris Anu don't declare himself president. Marianta don't deny for step down. So now you will get another IG. But now listen.
Let me say this. As you find that one woman is being protected. Listen to me carefully. One woman is being protected and she may destroy this revolution, this struggle through this interim government. Listen to the sound of my voice and tomorrow you may say, you heard it. I told you, if you guys sit still and do nothing, this one woman will destroy this revolution. We have a woman amongst us who leaks information. The discussion that we have in cabinet out there to everybody. We have a woman among us who is in every department of the government. Call it the LGA, she is there. The county, she is there. The department, she is there. And she came here and she told you Secretary Chris was on vacation.
So that woman we talk about now, Irene Gua, of course. Now the boss, now he own IG, Sako IG. Okay? So they don't split the so when I listen.
It's not too much. The IG of Dr. Sako is our problem in this revolution.
Fellow Ambazonians, at this stage, I'm very, very weak because I believe the struggle is already ending. And if you say the struggle is already ending, we have to tender an apology letter to Mr. Paul Biya.
I am freeing my conscience that someday historians and people will say Mark Barretta at the moment of time supported the government. I supported the government because I thought it was a true thing. I thought it will unite us. I thought it would help us to gather the resources. But that government that I supported failed. It failed woefully because each day they lie. They keep lying. They keep lying. They keep lying. They keep lying. They keep manipulating. They keep spinning your head with sweet talks. They keep lying. Lying. And they are fighting now and destroying themselves.
Not yet.
I supported the government because at the moment, everybody wanted it. I supported the government because we have been fed up with Cameroon. We just wanted something to call our own. It was a mistake. It was a huge error. Do not support any government anymore. They are fake. No more. No more. They are fake. Whether it's the Rimas government or Sako, fake. No more. Divorce from that useless thing. No more. No more.
When I don't forget about independence. At the time of fact, when I forget about independence, Ambazonia is done. All the sacrifices are gone for nothing.
So now them that they talk with their own mouth, their own words, their own faces. Now me I talk no. Okay. Now I want for come now for can read una an excerpt. So for this picture, where it there on una screens, okay. Now 1995, if I'm not mistaken, when I say I'm right for middle there. Now former Prime Minister of Cameroon, one and indivisible, John Go Fonchadat. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Napa Mola Litumbedis, okay? And then, for this picture as well, you get Dr. Munzu, Dr. Simon Munzu, and a few others then. When they go for United Nations for 1995, they come back. They go cross the Mongo Bridge with that United Nations flag. They tell the Anglophone population, say this, so the UN Decolonization Committee, it don't take their case, forgive them independence or whatever. And this was one of the beginning of the misinformation and the deliberate lies where Anglophones they be fed since the early 90s till today, where it don't radicalize a lot of Anglophone youth to the level where they did today at the point of self-destruction. And one of the things that I can't for explain why when I could see Anglophones the day for this predicament where the day in today. One of the people the way they cause them. Now them that for that picture, the people the way they cause them. But believe you me, if me I be there for their shoes, I believe maybe I would do the same. And the problem is that now since 1972. When I will ask people continue and wait to be happy for 1972. Yes. 20th of May 1972, we will get a referendum for Cameroon, where the general Cameroonian public, they be vote for change the federal system into a unitary state. And at that time, if you look at the federal constitution, you know what? Ma no talk plenty. Ma play for una. Pa mola litumbe. And then I'll come back to this document, where for this PDF document, I'll come back to that, okay? I'll come back to that United Nations Charter. But for this, just about over 3.5 minutes video of Pa Mola Litumbe, where they talk. When I listen to ye, na senior statesman, he passed on, I think 2 years ago, where he died. It was very elderly. When I don't see ye and videos with Ayabacho and Chris Anu and all of those things, and time they go to match, they go for White House and all that nonsense. It be there for those videos and Pa Mola Litumbe. Why where they talk for the next 3.5 or 3 minutes and 41 seconds? I could search my phone for that particular video where me and they talk about. If not video, I sure shall get the picture. When Pa Mola Litumbe talk, and then I go can give you a small analysis. Now listen.
Dialogue is not accepted.
Yes.
If the government, well, the so-called Republic, if they don't want to dialogue with you, what next?
Yes. The way forward is that for the first time in the history of this struggle,
When I listen,
the matter of the complaints of Southern Cameroons have entered the United Nations Club. You know, the United Nations, headquartered in New York, has created regional unions. You have, for example, the European Union, which takes up issues concerning Europe. You have the African Union, which considers matters pertaining to Africa. And all sovereign states in Africa belong to the African Union. They even have a constitution. Article 4B of that constitution stipulates that because of the haphazard manner in which Africa was shared by imperial powers, each sovereign African state should respect the boundaries handed to it at independence. So, if La République is headstrong and refuses to dialogue, to the extent to which this recommendation of the African Commission has been endorsed by the summit of the heads of state and governments of the African Union, which is a decentralized arm of the United Nations, we will go to the African Union and say, look, we were never part of La République du Cameroun. when they got their independence. The African Commission has recommended that we dialogue with them to address constitutional issues, one of which is our status in any sort of federation that they claim to have. They are not coming. To the extent to which we were entitled in our own right to sovereign independence, we want to...
Okay, it don't talk something for them. When ordinary people, they go just listen when I think say this, so that part don't, no. It don't misinform una for something where it be critical and crucial. And I go explain for now. So it talk something about how why this thing be so sensitive. So when I bear with me, I want to replay that video because of the way he talk. When I bear with me.
Dialogue. Boundaries handed to it at independence.
When I listen.
So, if La Republique is headstrong and refuses to dialogue, to the extent to which this recommendation of the African Commission has been endorsed by the summit of the heads of state and governments of the African Union, which is a decentralized arm of the United Nations, we will go to the African Union and say, look, we were never part of La République du Cameroon when they got their independence. The African Commission has recommended that we dialogue with them to address constitutional issues, one of which is our status in any sort of federation that they claim to have. They are not coming. To the extent to which we were entitled in our own right to sovereign independence.
When I hear what you talk, now what that will be want me when I pay attention to. It's entitled to our own right to independence. Now and then to talk about this culture of Anglophones feeling entitled. There's entitlement culture. Not just entitled to their own right to independence. Now, it lie itself. I know that part be too educated for no know the lie where it talk. Now, when I come now, I can play for now. I can show now a document where be written by another person where they very strong leader in the Amber movement. And then I go also explain for now who's not even misconception, who's the misinformation it come out and the blatant lie where they lie for una. They talk about their entitlement to independence or something like that. There was never such thing as entitlement to independence. They go quote United Nations Charter and whatnot, and I go show una the charter and we go read them together, and then when I go see how they deliberately omit one or two words them for make their case sound like say they talk something where it be genuine, but it is not, because the text was clear. It was clearly written. Nothing, not the way Cameroon government be doing where it be illegal. Nothing. When I listen,
we want to exercise that right, and we request you as a decentralized arm of the United Nations to take our petition to the appropriate organ, perhaps the Security Council, say that these people want their independence and we want it.
So that's your next plan of action?
Yes, that is it. So I don't...
How much time are you giving La République? I mean, there should be a deadline. If they stay for long, they can stay for 50 years. Yes. You keep on waiting for 50 years?
No.
How much patience do you have?
No, actually, if the parties were to take my advice, I would say the time is now. This is the time after 1 year since the decision was passed by an international tribunal and La République has not reacted. I said this is the time to apply through the African Union to table our matter before the United Nations for the sovereign independence of Southern Cameroon.
All right, Molanjoli Tumbe, we're about to come to the end of the interview. But before we go, as you know very well, the head of state Paul Biya is expected to visit the Northwest Regional Headquarters, Bamenda, anytime from now. The date is not yet official. Will you welcome him?
Okay. The reason why I add that part where the journalist is asking about President Paul Biya he visited Bamenda, now because it helped me to understand around when this interview will take place. Now around 2010, because I go research that was when last, unless some person if it educates me, that was when President Paul Biya visited Bamenda. So I believe this part, if we talk this, now 2010. That's what I could deduce from that. Okay? Now, like I believe it talk about the right to independence. Where did that right come from? They go tell you, say, a commander from the United Nations Charter, Article 76B or something like that. I will come to that. I will bring one at the Article 76B. Una go listen. Okay? Now, when I don't listen to that video, now when I listen to the next one, it be shorter, now only 23 seconds. And then I don't know if I go now up to that. Actually, that is the same document. It's the same document. I might delete them. I think I've sent the document twice. I'll delete that one because now exactly the same document that for down there. I go open them and then we'll go read them and then I go open that charter for United Nations. Article 76, if I'm not mistaken, and then we'll see where that their misinformation it comes in when they talk about the right to sovereign or to independence or whatever. It was never a right, and everything with the United Nations we do, where Great Britain we do, they will do following the letter of the law. Now listen.
In these matters, you require international diplomacy.
That's true.
I think Southern Cameroons are on the right track now that their matter has entered the UN circle.
See, that one now deliberate misinformation. That one now when Anglophones, they believe their own lies. Okay? When the judge talks, the matter has entered the UN circle. As I tell you now, this video is probably from 2010. We're then at 2022 now, which means it's been 12 years. Okay, it don't enter UN circle. What has been the outcome after 12 years? Nothing. You know why? It's because it never entered no UN circle. Now, why that way I show now that flag at the beginning, where from 1995, they will hold them. They said they don't come on, they don't cross the Mongo. The United Nations Decolonization Committee don't take their case or whatever. The United Nations Decolonization Committee closed the year before they ever go New York. And they knew that. They knew that there was no such thing as the United Nations Decolonization Committee. On that day where they go cross the Mongo with that blue UN flag, they knew it was a fantastic lie. But they tell them that's all. So they start believe their own lie. Say because they don't go New York, they don't talk to 1 or 2 American congressmen then, they don't talk to 1 or 2 secretaries in some big offices them inside the United Nations, they talk say their matter don't enter inside United Nations. Now, make una understand one thing first. And as if it talks, say it talk about the African Union and the United Nations. Those two bodies them, they have no member called Southern Cameroons. None. Southern Cameroons has never been independent. Now, why that way they never ever join any international organization? Now, why that way they never ever get embassy for no country? They never ever get passport, currency, national anthem, or any of those emblems and anything where it make a sovereign country independent or sovereign. They have never. Now, why that way Cameroon get now 1 seat at the United Nations? 1, not 2. And now why that way? If they talk about United Nations and African Union, Cameroon it get a seat at the African Union. These are organizations that are literally called, like for example, the United Nations came out of the League of Nations. It's literally a league of nations. Now nations, they come together to form the United Nations. Now the title is, the title gives it away. Okay, the United Nations. You know if it table anything in the United Nations if you are not a member nation of the United Nations. Una hear me fine? And so-called Southern Cameroon has never been a member of the United Nations. Never been a member of African Union. So these things, the way they can't talk so, there is an element of deception in it, because, or if not deception, and then a self-deception. Because for this part, and as educated as it be, and with all those people, the lawyers, barristers, and whatnot, where they be advising and everything, where they be follow up this SCNC and Anglophone thing, they will therefore tell you, say now only a member state of the African Union, if it cause effect in the African Union, you are not a member state. You have never had a seat as Southern Cameroon or anything in the African Union or the United Nations. You cannot go there and implement anything. Make una understand that one. But they continue. Now listen.
And having entered the UN circle, there is no need for warfare.
I like
is
that
to
part.
pursue it logically. And
so, why would I think say for 2010 or in the 90s, Dipa Mola Litumbe, it talk about warfare. It said there is no need for warfare. Why are we talking about warfare? I know say when I go there here, when I go talk say Ambazonia terrorism or something we started yesterday, yes. Or when I think say if you do the interview after the Amba boys will carry guns, wrong. If you do the interview almost a decade before Amba boys will carry gun, why is he talking about warfare? He said there is no need for warfare. At that time, in the 2010s, in the 1995s, now people that like this, like Molali Tumbe, they will hold the agitators them, they ayabacho them back. Where they don't already ayabacho and Ebenezer Akwanga, they don't already start the attack Cameroon military since in the 1990s, 1997. So when Tumuna can begin talk about Ambazonia terrorism and Anglophone terrorism for Cameroon as if not something will happen today, now the biggest deliberate lie or a fantastic lie where you tell them knowing fully well say you are lying. It's a fat lie. Anglophones have always wanted to challenge the Cameroon state militarily. Always. And why that way Molali Tumbe Eletam is sleep for a tongue for a year. Say, because they don't take the matter into the United Nations circle or whatever, there is no need for warfare. Why? Because the Anglophone population were agitating to carry guns. More than 12 years ago. No be me at the talk. Why you think they party talk about warfare? Eh? When I reason them out. Okay, now, make we go now. I want for, now make we open this document now. Right, so when I first see this document, now, a book presentation, it be written by, when I first see this presentation be written by Mola Litumbe, Molanjo Litumbe, that power, each come off for talk. On this book, he called himself senior citizen of the British Southern Cameroons. Okay? Now he write this forward and summary. And the book itself is called The Former British Southern Cameroons Journey Towards Decolonization, Independence and Sovereignty by Martin Ayim. Now the editor that for the book, okay? Now make I go back. I want to show now the actual book. Any person be interested for reading that one is your business. Then for Google them. Now the title that for the book. Okay? That book was first published 2018 or 2010, around then. It's a long time ago. Okay, this book now the title of the book that, now make I open the summary. Yeah, the book presentation, the summary, the forward and summary will be written by Molali Tumbe. I will read the highlighted parts with Una. Okay, my country people, them. We'll read them together. Then I will tell Una why Usa way it be misleading. And whether I don't know whether it be deliberate or it be ignorant. Where the misleading statements, the way they be made in this written document. It's a, Una listen. And bear in mind, this was before Amba terrorists they carry guns. So we'll read them together. It's a, this struggle has arisen because of the failure of Her Majesty's government of Great Britain, the Queen of England, we just passed on 2 days ago. Yes. And one of the things that this will be interesting. And from this document, when I go then understand, I go explain some kind of things in Funa. When I listen, it said it don't arise because of the failure of Her Majesty's government of Great Britain and Northern Ireland to honor faithfully the terms of the trusteeship agreement it executed with the United Nations on 13th of December 1946 to lead the territory of British Southern Cameroons ultimately to independence. I deliberately no highlight independence because that is misleading. Okay? What it mean for day is say this struggle arise because of the failure, because of United Kingdom's UK government, their failure for execute the agreement where they get time with the trusteeship with the United Nations. That is not true. Everything where Britain be do and everything where United Nations be do, it will be to the letter of the law, to the every word by word. Where they be write them for that United Nations. And they go quote them. They go quote them down here. I think now for page 2. They quote them. Now for page 2, now in that Article 76B of the United Nations Charter. I will bring the United Nations Charter for here, my contributor. We will examine them. We will examine Article 76B. You will see who's way it do deliberate omission. It's deliberate. They omit a very important part of that Charter of the United Nations resolution or United Nations Article 76B of the United Nations Charter. They ignore them in order to make their point. But that's not how life works. So, it talks now United Kingdom, their government, their failure, which is, well, if you want to blame UK, good luck, blame them. But when I will say I'm throughout this, when I will say this, so France is not getting no problem, not getting nothing for do with this madness. And then La République du Cameroon or Francophone Cameroon, as we know today, not get nothing for do with them. So, when they can't blame people the way they never get them nothing for do something now how. Okay, if you really want to blame some person, I blame now England. Yes, I blame the United Kingdom. So now, it talks that at the time the United Nations decided to end the trust mandate over the British Cameroons by Resolution 1608 of April 1961, Her Majesty's government had, by the Southern Cameroon's constitution, in brackets, order in council in 1960 that came into force on 1st of October 1960, administering the territory directly from Westminster then for London. Okay, that's where the seat of government for London day. Now for the Westminster Abbey day. Now for they could put the Queen in state before they bury ye. Now for Westminster way where British House of Parliament day by the River Thames. And now actually for Westminster where you get Buckingham Palace where the Queen lives. So administratively they will control the British Southern Cameroon directly from Westminster with resident commissioner in Boya. The commissioner presided over a fully functional government of the inhabitants headed by a premier. All that remained was for Great Britain to transfer power to this elected government in order to complete the decolonization process in that part or in the part of the trust territory known as Southern Cameroons. That is his assessment. Say, they will already get a functioning system put in place, they will get a premier, and they will get a resident governor, now is it a resident commissioner? Yep, resident commissioner in Boya, where the British they be sent them for for remote control the territory, but they will control them from Westminster. And then they say all where Britain began to do now for then just transfer that authority where the commissioner began them to the premier where be there for Boya, and then give the British Southern Cameroons automatic sovereignty and independence. But it did not happen that way. When I go blame Francophone man, how? When I go blame Paul Biya, how? When I go blame France, how? When I go blame French Cameroon or Francophone Cameroon, how? How that one take concern them? Okay. So now it continues. It says, in spite of Britain having undertaken to lead the territory known as British Cameroons to independence, that is another lie. That is another, well, not lie, omission. Because they no be mandate them, because they were literally called under the League of Nations, they were called mandates. League of Nations mandates. Okay, now time where the League of Nations changed into the United Nations in 1940 something. Now for then now where they changed the title from a League of Nations mandate to United Nations trusteeship agreements. So the agreement or the mandate where the United Nations, it be get them with the United Nations. Wait, I repeat them because I think I make mistake. The mandate or the trusteeship agreement where the United Kingdom, it be get them with the United Nations for administer the British Southern Cameroons was not to give them independence. It was to give them something or independence. We'll get to that. I will read the Article 76B for Una in the next few seconds when I go understand. So this one, it be deliberately misleading. Say they talk, say they say that in spite of Britain having undertaken to lead that territory known as British Cameroons to independence, that wasn't just what they were tasked to do. They say Her Majesty's government instead advised a subtle scheme by dribbling the United Nations to agree to conduct separate plebiscites for the northern part as well as for the southern part of the one trust territory of the British Cameroons, to ask the inhabitants how they desired their independence by joining neighboring already independent state. Independence subject to a condition is no independence at all. Right? Because the United Kingdom, under the trusteeship agreement, were not mandated to give you independence. That was not their mandate. That was not the trusteeship agreement. And you know what? May I go bring that Article 76B. Make we read them before I come back. Make we talk about that part B now. Because I get the Article 76B. Now in this, when I go for the link, when I go for this link, when I want time, when I just Google them. Just Google United Nations Charter Article 76. Google them. It will come out. Now the website there for the UN. What am I doing? Now the website there for the UN, no. When I say I know, now the website, the official website of the United Nations. Now in that, now Article 76, that. Now say I know, Charter of the United Nations, Article 76. Now make we read, wait these Anglophones they always talk about, make we read them together. Now, it talks say, the basic objectives of the trusteeship system in accordance with the purpose of the United Nations laid down in Article 1 of the present Charter shall be A. Article 76A, to further international peace and security. Now, Article 76A that. Now, Article 76B, where Anglophones they die on top, make we read them together. Article 76B talks about it. To promote the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of the trust territories and their progressive development towards self-government or independence. Now the word that way Anglophones they always omit them. It is not by mistake. It is deliberate for bamboozle una. It is a deliberate lie. They write them there for lead these territories them towards self-government or independence. They don't talk say self-government and independence. When I get the, I don't know, maybe not because I there for England, I get Anglo-Saxon heritage. Or na me when I read English, understand that. The word there for they say or. They don't talk say and. They say towards self-government or independence. And now why that way, when I feel take the matter, go reach for you, all kind United Nations, go even for the one we there for Mars. You go come back and they go read that word for una, they tell una say, UK government followed the law as it was written. They follow them. They not do pacha. They not decide for do something where it not be being at their mandate. No. They do exactly what the United Nations be mandate them for doing. The agreement. Now the agreement is where UK get them with the United Nations. Now, make we read them again slowly. They talk about it. They go promote the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of the trust territories and their progressive development towards self-government or independence, as may be appropriate to that particular circumstances of each territory and its peoples, and the freely expressed wishes of the peoples concerned, and as may be provided by the terms of each trusteeship agreement. So the deliberate talk of this say may be appropriate or independence as may be appropriate to the particular circumstances of each territory. So different territories, they get different particular circumstances. When I hear, so the talk say self-government or independence. They don't talk say leading them to independence. Na lie. But then when I hear Mola Litumbe, when I hear Anglophone people they write, they go always ignore that part where they talk say self-government, because they know, say you know go spend the time for go Google United Nations Charter, for read them for yourself. You could just believe what they tell you. But if you get sense, you get brain for head, you go find out the charter where they talk about, read them for yourself, you will see and say this. So these people are misleading you by omission. They deliberately omit that word, say self-government. For a people for self-govern themselves, it can be joining a federation with another country. That is still self-government, because you still decide. And now why that way, as they talk, the expressed wishes of the people's concerned. Now why that way the plebiscites for 1961, the peoples of the Southern Cameroons, they decide, they express their wishes for join Cameroon. The letter of the law, as it was written, Britain follow every law, every word for that text for Article 76 of the United Nations Charter. They follow them. So for when African today begin to blame Her Majesty's government or whatever, knowing that because say me I be their best friend or whatever. No. But make una not blame them for something where they do am correct. Now make we go read page 2 of what we write. It say now it talk now about your view of the matter. Now Namola Litumbe, it say this is my view. Wait. Excuse me. It said this, in my view, is a matter which should be referred to the International Court of Justice for an opinion as to whether or not Cameroon's achieved independence pursuant to Article 76B of the United Nations Charter. That is an open and short case. Yes, they did achieve independence as per the words in the United Nations Charter 76B, Article 76B, where the right now for they say the UK is being mandated for lead these nations towards self-government or independence, and the people they get to express their wish, and the United Nations it be approached. I mean, United Kingdom it be approached. As a matter of fact, we'll read them because I think they mention them. Now, Mola Litumbe continue. It say, should the International Court of Justice come to the conclusion that indeed British Cameroon did not attain independence, it would then be for the United Nations to take steps to complete the decolonization process for the territory. Now, they constantly lead towards trying to involve the United Nations in a case that was open and shut since 1961. On the 1st of October 1961, the United Nations shut that case. Now, it talks say, as the inhabitants of the former territory of British Cameroons have no locus before. Okay, now it talks say, as the inhabitants of the former British Cameroons have no locus before the ICJ. When I know what it means, the inhabitants of the former British Southern Cameroon, they have no locus before the ICJ. Means what? The inhabitants of the former British Southern Cameroon, they don't get no powers for do anything at the International Criminal Court or International Court of Justice, I mean. Okay? Because they no be sovereign state. They no be a member of the United Nations. They no not only member states. Cameroon as a country, if it take case, it go to the ICJ because Cameroon is a member of the United Nations. And the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice, if I'm not mistaken, now the judicial arm of the United Nations. So because now what did I mean by talk say as the inhabitants of that territory, the British Cameroons, have no locus before the ICJ, so they themselves cannot take a case to the ICJ. They cannot. You go for ICJ, they actually say, show me your registration number. You can't represent which government. You could talk with Ambazonia. Because you want to go for ICJ, you will go represent a country. Now President Paul Biya send you with a file, with a document, say go and deposit this at this office at the International Court of Justice. And then you enter for the talk say you can't represent Weti. You talk say Republic of Cameroon. They say, okay, come. They open your file because you be a member state. But you go now talk, they talk say you can't represent Weti. You say Southern Cameroon. They talk say no, you are not a member state. Now what did I mean by say those inhabitants of former Southern Cameroon have no locus before the ICJ? It said now because they don't get them any powers in front of the ICJ, it said it will be necessary for any one of the countries that voted in favor of terminating the trust mandate over British Cameroons by UN Resolution 1608 in April 1961 to seize the ICJ on the matter. Which way mean nasibiti? It talks today, so because themselves serve the people them for Northwest and Southwest, they don't get no powers in front of the International Court of Justice because they not be a member state. It means that now it must be a member state where it go table their matter before the ICJ. So now one of the reasons that way they talk about international diplomacy. So now why they don't approach other nations than when they're members of the United Nations. They don't approach Ghana, approach Nigeria, Gabon, even Finland, approach all these small Scandinavian countries, all the tiny countries, them beg them, even say they will bribe them with money, say me they take their document, go table them at the International Court of Justice. They don't get one support on the international stage. Not one. We now understand. Now, because now only member states of the UN, if it table case at the ICJ, but we not be members. Now, what does that mean for them? And then it go on for talk say, there is a gathering storm looming in the Central African sub-region while this problem remains unresolved. And the world could be spared another humanitarian disaster by speedily taking steps to have this question referred to the ICJ for an opinion. Now, this is a threat. Now, it don't come now, can't threaten the world. Say, oh, now this one a hot potato. Now, hot potato. If we no can't resolve this problem, it will be another humanitarian catastrophe. That is where that their nonsense, where the talk say there will be known, where it talked earlier about warfare. They don't always be threatened for fight Cameroon militarily, my country. This is a threat. If we don't know, that is a veiled threat. Now, it go on for talk saying, I commend blah 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 blah. United Nations respectfully urged to take timely preventive. The United Nations is respectfully urged to take timely preventative steps to avert another disaster in Africa. Experience shows that once started, these upheavals are difficult and expensive to contain. Now another threat. It threatened the United Nations. Say, if we can resolve this thing now, when I take steps to resolve them, it will cost me plenty money in the future, and people they go die. Oh, people they go die. Why people them? We go kill our own people them. Oh, if we can resolve this problem now, I will kill myself. Oh, that is basically what they're saying. Holding yourself hostage. Now, when I understand now. Bear in mind, now the small background that I bring up for now. When I bear with me, may I bring back my WhatsApp. When I don't listen, so I don't talk now for about 1 hour 20 minutes. Hopefully, we will wrap up the live broadcast not too long from now. We don't listen to Molali Tumbe. We will come now, can listen to Eric Tato briefly, and we will end the live broadcast. Hopefully. It could just be over 1 hour and 35 minutes or so. Okay, my contributor. But when I listen to this, I go find some small cold water, I drink them. Because I don't talk for 1 hour, 20 something minutes. When I listen.
Confident. Yes. Sure. You want? I read black this. Today. I read black this. I'm going to this year. I read black this. Yes. Now change this.
Natasha, that horizontal. A few days after I make that video.
I know the common face before the woman. When I see me find the one, na danger group this. When I see the one, na very specialist force, special force. The one that 2020 today now. Then 11 January, when we made this video. So I want to make this video for one the Republic very serious. And for one any Amazonia people, any man where they try for put election, for vote, any vote. I don't want all one. If any man come up for outside for on the 9 February, may no say name na die. Church I no go leave you and church I see all place for bush. All place for no Hello. Yes, I did for all sides. I went for Tiauna. Ukuma, that's most of the people were the same for me every day. When I never see on this, that war we declare for we Amazonia people there. Restoration God is forces them for bush. For north, west, and south. I don't want you. We don't say now this time we don't start. Now we know right today. Now this time around we will start. And we'll be ready. That what we declare for we.
War never start. Now so you talk. Now listen.
Yes, we'll be ready. Any man where they come out outside for that nation day, they know say when you want to come out outside, salute them. Or and you are even now who salute your family them before you want to come out. Or Chacha don't know who for that day. Chacha and the boy them, we don't know who be who. So now that's what you have one table. No election. No election, no election,
no food.
So I went for this video, you would have seen me fine. Now me, would I tell you see what you don't happen with us? Would I never see something? Now we won't be don't start. We know that one. We won't be don't start, and now we won't.
A few days later, now in that horizontal. So, now that my contribute them, I don't enjoy church as small. So, if you record that video for January 2020, on the 20th of January, he kidnapped 39 Amber terrorists under ADF, slaughtered them. 6 days later, the 26th, he be compromised by Amber terrorists. Sorry, I have one locked door. Now the people in that way, they want to go dialogue with Cameroon government too. Okay. Now, may we talk small. Eric Tato, he don't come make some audio. I want to play the audio for now. Then I'll give you a small analysis on top of that audio. And then we'll wrap them up my contributor. Wanna listen?
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Tato. I'm recording this message. Today is Friday, September 9th, 2022. You see many people who don't even have their own to eat. They're trying to call themselves presidents. And I've told many people who have contacted me that don't fight them. It's the wind of change, because God and nature wants Ambazonians to understand and know who to call president, what it means to be president. You've seen the succession of confusion within the camp that are completely rejected. They have literally produced 4 fake presidents. You know them. But like I've said, we have one strategy. And this strategy is what I proposed 3 years ago across the Mongol. For us to win the war, we must transfer. When I mean transfer, I mean completely transfer the war to La République du Cameroon, like I preached 3 years ago, more, or maybe 3.5 years ago, what I called ATM, across the Mongol. Anything that brings violence inside southern Cameroons must be completely overhauled. It must be held completely. It must be stopped. So our people will go to their farms. Our children will go to their schools. Our hospitals will function normally. Everything that is in Ambazonia will function properly, our men and women, mothers and fathers, boys and girls will have the life they've had, the life they had. None of Ambazonians' finest will be killed anymore. Our people will have to bury their loved ones in peace. That is the second strategy in the passing that will rebuild confidence. And regain the support. So this is how.
When I don't hear no, it say he want make the Anglophone population they feel bury their people in peace, go for market, make picking they go for school. Now Gary Master they talk so. Now Gary Master they talk so. He said now that one it go rebuild confidence and support. Now it be very interesting. It be very interesting. Even the choice of words. My contributor. Also this thing there. It be very interesting. When I see the choice of word, it's a rebuild confidence. You don't feel rebuild something where nobody don't be destroyed. Now because they don't build confidence amongst the Anglophone community about this Ambazonia terrorism, and then the confidence and the support, it will be destroyed. And it will be destroyed because of their own actions and so-called strategies. So now, it does the need for rebuild confidence. And now what I tell you say, when I no ever underestimate the impact of what we do for social media. Because now we did destroy that confidence where Ambazonia terrorists, they will get them with the community. Now we don't destroy them. And now why the way they do how they do now. Population don't be fed up. The lies the way they will tell them for 2016, 17, 18, they don't work anymore. They will tell them, say UNESCO, it will declare a blank school year. How market pass. They will say United Nations they get ships at Ambas Bay. They will come. When I just go march, they will come. When I start, now we will come finish them. Blah, 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 blah. They will tell them all those things them. And now all those lies, they be destroy the confidence where they don't build them amongst the Anglophones them all those years. Now, every time they can't tell when I say they need to rebuild confidence. Now, because themselves they don't understand now the impact of our blacklegism. Okay? The atrocities, the way the Amba terrorists they commit them on the ground, their own words. And now why that way I tell when I say it be so powerful. For make sure say we continue for hold them accountable for their words and their actions. So that when something happen, the population they know exactly which direction for point fingers. They no go by mistake that start blame Paul Biya because now with that way Anglophones they be professionals at for blame Paul Biya for all things. So when now they start the attack when a school picking them, the population they will know exactly who radicalize the picking them, exactly who give the instructions them for those school children to be attacked. The population they know. And they know exactly where to send the blame. And when that population is send that blame, over the years, they don't say and say this, so this was blacklegism, it produce fruits. And now why they want to say and say this, so we know they bother for talk grammar, for send message them way, we want me in an international community, they see them. I don't care about that. Okay? I want me now when I on the ground, me when I receive my messages. Because now when I matter, because that confidence we want to be getting for Ambazonia terrorists, where we destroy them as editor today hear the cry. Now I still get another I just sent some video to myself where I want plan for now. I still get another point where I want make him. What's the idea, sir? Yeah. What's the idea? Right. So, when I bear with me 1 second, my contributor them. I don't see the exact video I'll be looking, but he will continue and then I will talk after.
Win the war. Mommy and Papa them. That's how we win this war. Now the only way that
the only way
we win this war by going inside the Republic. No way, not the way you go continue for the fight inside your own house. Say man come for your apartment and fight you for 3 hours, 4 hours. You go broke all your furniture.
No be lie.
You go scatter all your team. Bad her. The highest man will get suffer when fight the inside house. Now the man own the house.
Yep.
So the only way if you fight this man, either you take you go outside or you go for your own house. Now you start scatter your own thing then too. So schools they go. People will leave. People they work freely for Kumbamampe Road. Any road where Ambazonia one pass they go for be free. Papa people come up for any time for midnight. Go cut cocoa for can give mommy me tie equang. All man for Ambazonia they for be happy. That time you go see him say love will come back for the struggle.
Now yeah.
Now why we when people they come say, oh you see this people they go be president. I tell them say what should be your problem? Me they be president for Facebook. Excuse me, I know we don't talk all these things, that's what will happen. I be telling you now, see that's what will happen, stage by stage. Stage by stage, say Saku, they go take it out when you go know. Then some person will come with the Chris and will use it for be like decor. And then later Chris and say, come move that person for be president. So you see, I'm saying, this confusion where these people that they cause them now for themselves. Now just reset so that make people they see, I'm saying, truly, when I don't see a national government or one choice for take the war across the Mongol, now which I prefer call and say ATM. No man no go for disturb any man from Amazonia, me no go school.
No, yeah.
All man from Amazonia get for go school. All our hospitals they get for the function. Our drivers they get for use their road. Taxi men they get for work. Nothing no get for daily lockdown. But if market stop for Bamenda, now do win. Now the Republic do win. So we get to understand. See. So, war, therefore be tactical, technical. That's what fighting therefore be. Yes, we get to cross completely inside the Republic of Cameroon. I talk this one because I see the mistakes them when people they still want to continue for making. And not expect me for come talk for Facebook. Again, the holla no. But because of the corporate world, I never can talk for Facebook again.
Now we don't make them.
And anybody will understand that part, understand them. And I want to use the fact say, I need to go for Facebook for fee say, I therefore must talk. I will give you one advice. Me too, I be some mommy or some people that begin. So if you be say over one time me I talk, you feel still make your own picking open Facebook page.
No be lie.
You start talk. But if you want to listen, say strategy don't change. You forget to make this noise of background. Say, oh, every time you talk again, because say La Republic don't bribe you, or because say don't do this.
So now Eric to that. Now, make I can talk on that point where he talks today so for take the fight into Francophone Cameroon. Mateo na something ma contribute them. Yes, on I wait so 1 second. Yes. Mateo na something. The only way where amber terrorists they fit do which way they do, they survive one day. Now because the Anglophone population, they still fear them. And Anglophone population, they understand to a greater extent, say now them create the Ambazonia terrorists. So they get this, yeah, now people will not be calling them our boys. Now picking where you know them personally. You understand? Whereas, when I think say Amber Boy cross, enter inside Francophone zone, it will last how many seconds? It enter inside Francophone, especially looking the way they look, smelling the way they smell, they need to wash, and then who go hide you? Like how Clovis will talk. Time where they will go commit atrocities them, they run, enter inside Mami house, go under bed. Military enter inside that house, Anglophone Mami they talk, say no, they begin to enter, come out for window. That way army come out, begin go. Now that time they begin come out under bed, begin go. Now so the Anglophone population, they will deal with them. When I hear no. But for this one, Anglophone begin come out, enter inside Francophone zone, maybe not even for talk French. It then for area where it not be familiar to. It will last how many seconds? No Bamileke man or Bassa man or Francophone man. A good amber there for your house. It hide under bed. Then military enter inside that house with gun. That person knows if he hide behind that gendarme. Where no point and say shoot that bed. Shoot. As a matter of fact, burn down the whole house. The shit nobody else there inside. Amber terrorists where they cross camp for Francophones. They go last how many seconds? They will last how many seconds? Yes, now the only strategy that way they get. But it no go ever work. And I will tell you now how successful we don't be with our own strategy. I will tell you now last time say this so. So when I get the strategy say, when I want make Amber they like Cameroon, when I want to convert them for love Cameroon, I say no. My own strategy now for make Anglophone population hate Ambazonian terrorists. Because it's easier to make someone to hate than to make someone love you. You understand? For convince person for hate is easy. But go try to convince person make a love man, yeah. Maybe you spend your whole life and still fail. But for make person hate, it easy. So, Amber they make una hate una country because they know say once you hate something, it be that much more easier for you to destroy that which you hate. And I waited that when Anglophone population they rebel and they revolt against Ambazonian terrorism, they denounce them, they hate them, then it would be that much more easier for the Anglophone population to destroy that which they hate. Now see, now only me when I go to school, and they use now their thinking, now their strategies, or they use them against them. Yes, you get to study your enemy, take the advantage. Some things that do your enemy, they do them really well, emulate them. Copy work, no be crime. If something they go on fine, you say and say, so this person know what they do. Copy them. And they take my strategy now from them. Yes. With a slight difference. Say, if we do and pass them. They be thinking that only the wicked will wicked pass them. They be thinking that only them will be violent, will be violent pass them. We choose to be good. They think that only them be evil. We can be more deadly and evil. More evil than them. That is it. Okay, so another thing where editor to talk and I say, ain't no fit go for Facebook, go to talk, the shout, that ain't no fit do them again, blah 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 blah. Man remind una something. For una way una no know. But tell una how much we don't tame these people them. We don't really tame them. The video is still load. But while that video they load, una listen.
Operation on ground. My brother, why you fight Amber, don't fight Amber, you will see die for Amber hand. Because Amber don't get friend. Better say you fight. That's why she don't so bullet can top you when Amber cause her no.
Coming back to the Anglophone crisis, we have killed more Anglophones ourselves than what the military has done in the name of Black Leg. We are not the first persons to have such a revolution.
No be me I talk amo. If now me I will talk when I will talk now because I'm a black leg. And I accept I am a black leg, the king of all the black legs. Now.
Don't kill a military. If the military attack you, kill him. If the military doesn't attack you, don't touch it. Some of them, they don't want to do it. But their lives are on hanging bars. People you need to touch. I'm sorry to say this. It's the civilian population. When you touch them, their cries. Actually,
Nara Moyoka attacked that where they attack civilian boss. They be send them, they tell them, una yeno, say make una no attack military, attack na civilians. Now Eric Tato that way be the tough una way una don't forget Eric Tato. Una listen. Wait.
Gary go day for one thing that for picking the hand in the one school for any part of Southern Cameroon. Because when we get this school issue to the Republic, so for Southern Cameroon not be having joke. So if you listening, send them down for any man who say, if I see anything from school, if I see anything from school, I very possessive. So I take my responsibility, man, not every time to go anywhere. I will teach the Peking how to teach Gary. I will teach you, I will give Gary lesson. Nonsense. When I think of the joke, when they give people that can't talk about school, no school, no, that is a listen. Not Mishaman, LeBron, Steve, not tell me no. Any picture go with the Gary the Peking. In fact, I don't move from one finger to the entire hand. If anything go there, Gary one hand. Nonsense. When I told the general joke, one thing I know correct, in fact, LeBron, Steve, I I don't beg, I don't change my mind. Now, one hand now. Any people go there for school, he Gary for his whole hand. The whole hand, who Gary did. So when go out, mommy asking away, mommy has to make Gary. Now, Gary do me so, the people will understand. The other hand, they will get the message. No man will go straight in. Nonsense. When I feel the joke, shit. When I go to school, see.
So now Eric Tatotano that just a few short years ago. Now for 2022, when I hear Eric Tato they talk today, so no picking they get to go for school, mama mia, we don't defeat this Nkunyams them terribly. We don't beat them hands down. They don't even know which way they talk again, which way they advocate for. Now they talk say picking they get to go for school, what they don't change. When I don't get independence, no. Now school boycott be supposed to give una independence, no be so. When I don't get the independence. Another video they way I want share them with una. Now just say I think I still get that issue where I get them with this account. When I bear with me, I'll go. If I get the video, I will plan for una. If I don't get time, no worries. We will come live again. Maybe tomorrow if I get time, I'll come. With Tori is small. No be so. If I want me countryman come live again tomorrow, me with Tori we will put up a comment section. Yes. I just send video them. I just try to send them for this other device where they here. But I think I still get that problem. There is a pending problem. Okay. Video they don't finally. One by one it come. Okay. I want to show you some other video and I just say I know we queue that video off for show now, but I just really don't come to mind. And while we are there live, I might as well share them with you now. What's I day? Yeah. Massive. If I know something for the next 5 or 10 seconds, I go wrap them up, then we'll live and whistle. We don't try with today, no be so. We don't Tori small. Yes, we don't Tori. I don't know if you find the video. Yes, so when I get idea now, when Anglophones they talk about dialogue and all those things, them it goes way back to the Molali Tumbe them. Now, make I round them all up. I do the final analysis where I be telling us I bring them for now. So, for the Federal Constitution, 1961, it will give the West Cameroon House of Assembly a veto power, where it means that they could not change the law of the land for Cameroon without a majority of the population of West Cameroon House of Assembly accepting to it. It was exactly the same veto power where the House of the East Cameroon to get them. Now, when I would then ask ourselves, but why these members of the House of Assembly for West Cameroon, why did they accept to give up all that power and get a unitary government and give all their executive power and legislative power to one person, to the head of state, to the president? Why? How come? Why was that possible? Why did they do that? May I explain that for you now? For 1961, after independence, the Anglophone part of the country, it will be poor, it will be very, very poor, underdeveloped, indebted, and it was not prepared for independence. And now, why that way, even the UK, it will tell United Nations, say, this territory will not be viable for being independent on their own. No be na French Cameroon be talk, no be France, na United Kingdom, it will tell the United Nations, say this territory not be viable for being independent. Now, why that will be forced for ancestors then for vote for join Nigeria or join Cameroon? So, when these two states then, one, obviously a giant country, where it will be well-to-do, very rich, and viable to be independent on their own. So, by the 1st of January 1960, France, independence granted. So, Cameroon become a sovereign state with a seat at the United Nations. While the Southern Cameroon was not viable. And then at a time we would join French Cameroon now, the workers, the way they will work for the other state for East Cameroon, they will earn a higher salary than the workers there, even if we be doing exactly the same job, because the treasury for West Cameroon it not be rich enough for pay workers. That is just a fact. So the quality of life for French Cameroon it will be better than the quality of life in Anglophone Cameroon. And because of that disparity, many West Cameroonians wanted to work and live in East Cameroon, Francophone Cameroon, because they could get better wages, they could get a better working conditions, and they could live a better quality of life. And now why that way it will be easier for Amadou Ahidjo for convince Foncha and the Anglophone elites, including Professor Fonlon and a bunch of them, say, we make we come up with this system where the country is not going to get this disparity, it not going to get this wage gap and life expectancy gap and quality of life. So the whole country it will be like one. It will get the same quality of life everywhere you go. No mean I say people then for Douala, Yaoundé, Bafoussam, Gaoundé, they go to enjoy, they go to work the same job and they earn more money. Why were we there for the same country, but you were didn't have for Tico, you didn't have for Nkambe, you did work exactly the same job, exactly under the same government, but you did earn less. That's why it was possible for Amadou Ahidjo to convince Anglophones. Now why that way for that plebiscite? For 20th of May 1972, they be asked what grandpa, they made a vote for change the constitution for make a maybe unity state, or 90-something% of Anglophones they vote for change that because they be want to enjoy the same quality of life where Francophones they will enjoy them. That is a fact. And then when it comes to the house, the federal house, the West Cameroon House of Assembly, they vote by an overwhelming majority for discard the federal constitution, give up their rights, give up the veto power where they get them, for form a unitary state, so that them too they go enjoy the same quality of life where Francophones they get them. That was the trade. That was the trade-off. And in so doing, they gave up that powers. And from then on, they start begging for dialogue with that federal with the unitary state, the central government for Yaoundé. Back in the days, time when they get all that power, when they be in a federation, when they get veto power, anything where Yaoundé want do, it must first come. Can't talk to the House of Assembly. Can't talk to the members of the House from West Cameroon. And then go negotiate with the House for East Cameroon. Because both houses must agree by an overwhelming majority for anything for Waka. If the House of Assembly for East Cameroon, they will just agree. Whether they agree that by 100%, and then the House of West Cameroon agree by 49.9%, and then that bill, it don't fail and will never be law. Because they must need a majority for the House of West Cameroon. So now, the head of state for federal Cameroon, it not be only get to go negotiate with East Cameroon House of Assembly. If you get to now, after don't finish negotiate with East Cameroon, it get to now go meet up the West Cameroon for negotiate with them, for dialogue with them, tell them, say, Bo, we'll get this project, we'll get this program, we want to do this, we want to change this law, we want to do this and that. What do you think about it? And then we'll not get that dialogue and negotiation. Then we'll not come to a consensus. Then we'll not come to an agreement. Then when you don't agree, and before you come to agreement, you must give and take. There must be concessions. So now when head of state one come now talk, say, I want to change the electoral laws or whatever, I want to change this and that to this. Or for example, time when President Paul Biya want change for Mekan so that if you run another term, it will get to change the law of the country. But if you just do an with for Yaoundé, because CPDM, it get the overwhelming majority. It just talks to me CPDM electors, the members of parliament and the Senate, they vote, the bill it pass. Whether you be SDF or whatever, you don't get no powers. Because a central government. But time we be in a federation, Paul Biya get to must can't see the East House, negotiate with them, get a consensus and agreement and concessions, and then come on now, go now for the West Cameroon, go negotiate too with them, because he need the West Cameroon. So when I see I'm saying for that federal system, where Anglophones the abolish them, not be Francophone and abolish them, now Anglophones the abolish them. For that federal system, head of state, it be get to come, it be designed for make sure say there was a devolution of power. Head of state be get to must work hand in hand with the federal assemblies, with the federal house. forget anything done. You must go make deals with the house for East Cameroon and then make deals with the house for West Cameroon. But the West Cameroon house, they vote for dissolve that nonsense, give up their powers, and since then, they start to beg for dialogue with Yaoundé. They start to beg for 1994. For 1984, they come up with this name Ambazonia. By 1994, 10 years later, they said they go for United Nations for open the case for decolonization. 1995, they carry flags, said they don't cross the Mungo. And then by the 1997, they started bomb places them. They bomb places them on Cambe for Bui. And then by 2016 and 2017, they disguise their intentions. They talk to this so. They go march for lawyers and teachers strike. That was a disguised nonsense. The true intention for that thing, it had been a way we want to see and today. It was deliberate. The true intention said they go march. It was secessionism. But when I no understand. Now the true intention that way they will get them from the very first day. It's good they will hide them. Now when I first even think self said they will hide them. They don't really hide nothing. Now their true intentions that they be one for cause secessionism inside Cameroon. So they talk today, so they go march, lawyers and teachers strike. And then for that march where they say they go march, this and that. Now in this way they now, so they carry gun before for Bush. They have always wanted to do that. They have always wanted to do that. Yes. Make una no mind if any amber terror is there for you, they must come watch and learn sense. At the end of the live broadcast, ban it, delete it, everything we don't ever leave them. They go must come watch, but next time you don't ever leave comment. So that is it. I want to play for una this video. But before that, una listen.
I am also very strong physically. I can box you and box you hard. You see me like I'm huge. I'm fat and huge, but I have muscles. I can box you and remove some tooth in front of that teeth.
No be lie. Yes, we'll get a few more minutes to go for this live broadcast. I just want to share one. This, what I go even load. Yes, it don't load. Happy days. Now the video, this one I'll be fine now. Make it download. I go play on phone and then we'll play some other video for Chris Anu and then play Kum Kum Anthem. So we will wrap them up. The live broadcast, it will take 2 hours. I know we plan make it stay up to 2 hours. And no says when I credit don't finish and I don't drop out. When I listen.
Businesses will not open, taxis, Benzikin, nobody will work. Schools will not open. Parents should not send their kids.
It was rumored that the teachers' trade unions have received a bribe, and the consortium took this opportunity to clear the air.
Professor, what's his name again? Gogomo. I want to inform Anglophone Cameroon that Professor Gogomo was a teacher in GTHS Bamenda before he went back to school and got to become a professor, and that he has desecrated professorship, and that he would not address justice. He would not address issues of injustice. Shows that he is doing everything to protect his position as a privileged slave in this country. By Monday, we will know whether Yaoundé controls Anglophone Cameroon or we control our country, because when they are doling out huge sums of money that people won't be able to go to. The issues that we have raised are community issues, and everybody has an interest. That's why everybody is coming on board, putting their own contribution. After Monday, we will think of what else to do that will bring this government down on its knees. If by Monday we don't see them crawling. And
when I hear no, yes, that video don't finally decide for load. Okay, now when I listen, people the way they want dialogue with Cameroon government, when I listen.
They will be crushed. This, what happened in Bui, should send a message to the ADF and the AGOC that this interim government would no longer sit down to negotiate with you out there.
My country people them. So this video will be being made by Chris Anu about the Bui massacre. I hope we'll never forget. General Chacha, where he be work under the so-called interim government, it be catch 39 Amber boys them under the ADF. It kill all of those picking them, bury them for one hole. Then Chris Anu, it go live for Facebook, it go talks with it. They will be crushed. It talk now to ADF, and then they talk to them say, the interim government in Nogo ever should not for negotiate with the ATF. Some are contribute them. Chris Anu called himself a communication guy for the so-called interim government, and I waited away talk said they will be crushed. Make una understand say na Amber versus Amber this. Now, when I send this clip to all the people the way they call themselves journalists, to all the Anglophone elites, them, the talking heads on TV, and the people the way they go out there for radio and TV and everywhere else, go the advocate or the expect, say Cameroon government, if you should on down for dialogue with these kind of people, them, forgive them legitimacy to this kind of terrorists, them. Chris Ann used to talk and say the interim government no go ever should on down for negotiate with ATF. He said they go crush them instead. And then the same Chris Anu, he can't on the expect. And some Anglophones them, they can't on the expect. Say Cameroon government, they go sit down negotiate with them, where they not fit talk amongst themselves. But the things say they could then go negotiate or dialogue with where they call them saying that they are enemy. And then they get a consensus or an agreement, it not be possible. So even if the Cameroon government, if even one consider where it would be the biggest error, the biggest worst decision ever for good dialogue with this kind of caricatures and terrorists, you could give them legitimacy and you not go ever arrive at any consensus or any decision where it could be binding. Because first of all, even if you want to consider for talk to these kind of people, them, like these people that they call themselves Amazonians, they be too fragmented, too divided, they get infighting among themselves, they don't know where they want, they don't get a common goal. So it not even be possible for arrive at any consensus or agreement with these kind of shit, no white blast, non-entities them. So what is the point in the first place for take them seriously? So my advice to the Cameroon state authorities, them, to the government, to the ministers, them, and every other person, to ordinary Anglophones, when they listen me, make we take Chris Anu own advice. Chris Anu talks that they go crush the ATF for Bui. Cameroon government to need to adopt that same advice. Crush everything what they call them, say Amber. Even if it takes you 100 years, we will crush them all, no blinking. We must match fire with the sensitization, with the disarmament process, and with the compromisation of Amber shit, no white blast them. That is the only solution. Because even if you want to go talk with this kind of fools, them, you don't go even arrive at any consensus. You don't go ever get any agreement. So what to be the point when they don't even talk amongst themselves? When I think that's a joke, I will let themselves, let the Amber then talk. Their own activists, them, Eric Tato, Tapang Ivo, and Mark Beretta, when Pussy and Rat. They themselves say now they come together, them three, for can condemn this Bui massacre. When I listen.
By midday tomorrow, hopefully, which is a Saturday, I'll show you a live show on the Bui issue. I want to tell now, maybe not even more they kill them. They kill those people and they bury them. When I hear they cut on mass graves, the highest mass grave ever for Mante, not one day, no mass grave, no day like probably not bury 22 people. They bury 12, 18, but we don't see Ambassador don't bury exactly. Don't bury 23 or more. 22. Yes, no, 22 because funny picking I talk funny picking them. They did them 70 for come, they cry hungry. So there is no way when I come here Ambassador and they did bring issue, so now can make speech if fool now go here, it be unacceptable. Somehow can't give the people which be able to. So what? So one talk say because someone sleep with your brother woman, make sure that man can sleep with your woman. You encourage fornication because it doesn't happen. I'll still come back for the Bui issue. Mark, please. Let
me come in. Comment every tattoo. A bit sorry say me, Mark Beretta, I will call names.
No, Mark, please.
No, Eric, no stop, Eric, no stop, Mark.
Let me. Tomorrow, I know this is true. It's fine. Maybe we make our people know. So it happens from we that the highest evil. And he said, even for the part, I was saying, even French Cameroon, it better pass this Maryland, when it's not for Maryland, UK, and Germany, and again those others. I will say it because when you arrest someone in weapons down, you catch it, you tie the hand, look for the hand was tied, and they shoot for participation. From the people from some land. And those who get those orders, they will pay dearly for it. They take say maybe staying in the diaspora, hiding their faces, being under, it be enough. And the one who called himself Pastor Chris Anu, who said that Amazon fighters in Bui who carry the name of ATF will be crushed. That crushing are only saying we land. No one has come to the BLM land and asked that the sons and daughters of the BLM land should be crushed. There's a lot of conspiracy going out there, manipulations going out there. Listen, me and I identify the problem. And when you identify the problem, a so-called government, a so-called minister, a so-called pastor, when you come out, what do? Your first role is to condemn. Your second role is to show tolerance. And your third role is to build unity and say, what can we do? Then Pastor Chris will come live and play Busanvito to instigate sentiment, to make people to think, people to fight. That was evil. And when he mentioned that people, you wash them, and I'm saying, quote me, that question will begin. That's what we.
So I don't hear no. Okay, okay. We'll play our Kumkum anthem. We'll make them round them up for 1 hour. 1 hour don't reach. Almost. We still get about 5 minutes. Who's that the anthem data? I don't see a few people that don't leave comment. They say, countryman, when I want to see me again tomorrow. Some fantastic news. Yeah. So when I see this shit, no wipe last no. Okay. Now no worry. Wait, what's that anthem day? Now bear with me 1 second, so it is coming. My cam. I want to find who's that keep that Kumkum anthem. We'll play them and then we'll wrap them up. We'll go with us. Run to read too small. No be lie. Run to read too small. Now in this. So there you are.
Hail, hail, hail the Kumkumasa. We the Cameroonians, we pledge our loyalty. Kumkumasa, Kumkumasa, you shall free our country from terror. And your blessing shall be like the stars above. The Most High God shall be your guide.
Correct, so.